Surprise, surprise, Collingwood win another close game, this time against Hawthorn, a bogey team of Collingwood. We end up winning 77-72. We scored 2 goals in the second half. Our forward half pressure game was gone and we lost our dare going through the middle. Conversely, Hawthorn turned it around, put it on their terms, and Hawthorn also finished the game 9+ in a contested possession stat. Lots to love for Collingwood in that first half, but we really stepped back into our shells in the second half. But in the end, we win another close game. I think that is our 7th game in a row that we have won when the game was decided by 10 points or less. And now here's the fun part where I pretty much scrutinise and pick at all the little things that I think we could do better, and I also praise some really nice moments and maybe moments that will go unheralded to the general public. First things first, we're going to see De Goey feed it to Lipinski. Maynard gets the ball and he decides straight away, without taking too many steps, that he is going to go long into our forward 50. I would have loved to see him just feed this ball to Johnny Noble, who is one of our runners, and that's his main role in the team, and that's to carry the ball and get a quality look going inside 50. Instead, Maynard sort of just bombs it long. It's a shallow entry as well, so a really good opportunity for Hawthorn to have a rebound 50 and go back the other way and potentially get a good look on goal. So ideally, Maynard just gives the hands off there. Looking at our first goal, we can see here, I think that Jack Crisp and I guess the whole Collingwood team really do set up a really good zone in here, and has the ball kicker contemplating what he's going to do. He looks for this option, but that's sort of closed down in a hurry. And then we can see here, Crisp again, just keep an eye on him. Almost commits here, but he's quick enough to realise that this is now going, this kick is now going here. He's close enough, he's 50-50, so he's sort of split the difference at this point. And De Goey as well is there if need be. Ball hits a deck, Lipinski's live to it, gives the hands, gets fed out to Schultz, and a quality finish by Lockie to get the ball rolling for the Pies. Now, Collingwood's game heavily depends on numbers at the contest, applying frontal pressure as a defender behind the ball. So if you think you have an opportunity to come off your man and apply pressure on the ball player, then go and do it. And it's a fine line with this sort of game style, because if you can impact the play, it goes back the other way pretty quickly. But if you misjudge it and it gets over the back, usually you'll find the opposition have a player who is on his own, and then we'll have our defenders running back towards goal, which is a position that defenders hate to be in, where they have to run back towards goal, and their forward is pretty much leading the dance as to where they'd like the ball to go, and they can dictate that play. So we see here, Hawthorn feed it out, get over the initial wall. Crisp does really well to step off his man, who I think is back here, and sticks the tackle and does just enough to get a forward half turnover. And this forward half turnover ends up in a goal for Collingwood. So it's really important what happens further back in the ground, because now Collingwood gets to reap the benefits, and eventually Impey is under the pump at the boundary. De Goey is positioned well, takes a set shot and kicks the goal. So well done, Crisp. Next up, I just wanted to highlight Mason Cox's really good tap work, particularly in the first half. He had 2 moments like this, so we'll start with this one. Gets some body on a younger, inexperienced ruckman. I think it was his first game. Feeds it out the back. Crisp is privy to this and gets on his bike. Schultz is holding width, feeds it out to Crisp, and then gets out to Dacos, who's also holding his width as a winger, and then finds a quality quick kick to the boundary side. And we got Elliott taking this strong mark overhead. Here we have De Goey getting down and dirty, earns a free kick, winning the hard ball. And then what we're going to see in a moment is De Goey sends Tom Mitchell for an absolute hospital ball. But I just want to emphasise his willingness to get over to this contest after he's served that up to Tom Mitchell on a platter. And we'll see here, Hawthorn are out in a moment. Josh Dacos gets caught in a really good tackle. De Goey chases this down, and that's just massive. And I don't know if we would have seen that in the last few weeks before Brisbane. And it's really good to see that De Goey is back in a big way. I think he had a massive game. I think he had 30-odd disposals, kicked a goal, and was pretty much everywhere. And if it wasn't for Tom Mitchell, maybe he would have been best on ground. But for mine, Tom Mitchell was best on ground with his pressure acts, tackles, disposals. he was pretty much everywhere. So really good to see that the cogs in our midfield are really starting to find some form. We're going to see here Dacos feed an easy ball to Chol by mistake, but I'm talking about his follow-up work right here. And this is, at this point, Chol stepped Frampton and has a really easy shot on goal. But Dacos is determined to make amends for his blunder of an error. Does just enough work to put a body on Chol, and Chol ends up kicking out on the full. Tom Mitchell does some really good work inside to find some space. Feigns that, so fakes that he's going this way, and then spins outside, and then this ends up in a goal. And obviously this goal doesn't happen if Tom Mitchell doesn't compose himself like he did, spins out of the contest, feeds it to Lipinski, and then I think we have De Goey who ends up getting the ground ball, or Bobby, sorry, feeds it to Pendles. Pendles kicks a goal and then has a rest for the rest of the game as he deserved it. He got injured, we know that. Darcy Moore takes an intercept here, pushes off his man really quickly, and he is very quick to feed this ball out here because we've got Ginnivan who's already on that. So if Darcy Moore doesn't have a sense of urgency to switch this ball, this doesn't happen and doesn't give us an opportunity to play through here. So Darcy Moore, nice and low kick, gets it quick to Jeremy Howe. And just casually, Jeremy Howe rips a 40-metre kick on his left foot, and watch this perler. Finds it inside the corridor, centimetre perfect to Crisp, and this ends up being a mark inside 50 for Schultz on the boundary as well, I think, from memory. A strong contested mark. And it doesn't happen if Darcy Moore isn't urgent in his way to play and switch the ball. And if Howe doesn't have a left foot, that angle for that kick never happens. It wouldn't have been achievable on a right foot. And that's why it's so important to be able to kick on both sides of your body, which we don't see a lot of AFL players using or working on enough for it to be an exponent during their games. Sometimes all it takes is a little off-ball screen in the stoppages. So we'll see Tom Mitchell puts a screen onto Walpole there, and De Goey gets enough space, and we know Cox is getting some dominance in the ruck, particularly in the first half. In the second half, his colours got lowered a little, but in the first half, he did some really good work. And I think we see here Cox is going to tap it behind again, and De Goey, because Tom Mitchell was sacrificing himself earning a possession, De Goey now gets a run at that opportunity. So we see here, De Goey comes through completely unmanned and gets a kick going inside 50. And McInnes, strong mark, strong body work on Sicily, good timing of that mark, and the hands in the back was good timing as well. Here we have goal of the game, Bobby Hill. He's pretty much baiting this play here to come in as close and make a commitment to try smother the ball. As soon as Bobby realises that he is committing to that smother, then Billy's obviously going to dance around him and do what he does here. Sells it just enough. We can see this player's body weight is going all the way there, so that's an easy one for Bobby to evade. Does that, feeds it to the hyphen in Hoskin Elliott, and goes bang. And at this point, we're just laughing. We're licking our lips. We're talking percentage. We're going to have an easy game. We're not going to have to stress. And then, obviously, we see what happens later. Here, I think I just wanted to show Brody Majacek breaking a tackle and some really good technical work by Josh Dacos from a body standpoint. Breaks the tackle, a low, difficult ball. Here, what's key in this moment is Dacos gets his chest over the ball. So even if he doesn't take this ball cleanly, it's going to hit his chest and likely bounce in front of him rather than it going past him. So we'll see here, yeah. Just gets over it, stays over it, feeds it to Crisp, and Crisp finishes with some nice composure. So that's the difference between, if you're upright, there's a chance that it's going to bounce off your chest and it can fly anywhere, or it might even go past you before having an opportunity to get your body behind it. So that's a really nice crafty work by Dacos. Here we got James Sicily on the ball. He's looking for something. He's waiting. You can see where his eyes are. His eyes aren't exactly on the boundary. He's seeing if he can get something more corridor. A lot of players are doing this these days from defensive 50. They prefer to go longer down this way as opposed to this way if possible. It changes up the way they go out of their defensive half, and it makes you less predictable if you're able to go more than just the boundary in situations where the opposition have defended you well. But Quaynor here is really sharp. He realises Sicily's a great distributor, so he recognises that there's a lot of space for this Hawthorn player here to run into, and Sicily's got a long leg, so that's not a difficult pass for Sicily. But Quaynor's sharp, he's onto it, and intercepts, a really strong intercept on the forward there. All right, now we're into the fourth quarter. Hawthorn completely dominated that third quarter. It's much the same in this one, but little moments change the trajectory of the game or save a goal. And a couple minutes into this quarter, we see a strong moment from De Goey. Just rolls in, wins the hard ball, earns another free kick. Something we haven't seen from De Goey, and now we're starting to see it, and we love that for him. All right, another key moment, we see Darcy Moore here, and we've got Blake Hardwick, who's just kicked 3 goals in the third quarter, so he's running hot. So let's see. Maybe Darcy Moore's a little bit confused because Hardwick is tying his laces, but maybe that's just a bit of a little bit of a decoy or playing possum by Hardwick. But Darcy Moore needs to be live to that. We can see, I think here Darcy can be a little bit further away and more 50-50 here so that he can split the difference between Hardwick and Chol. I think he's less than a kick away from this where the ball is now. And then that leaves, obviously, Hardwick even more space to get open. And I think we end up seeing Hawthorn get out the back here and Darcy Moore not having an impact at all in this play, in no man's land essentially. And as I said before, the worst position for a defender is to be running backwards. Maynard panics. Ginnivan puts on some really good body work on Maynard, by the way, a taller, stronger player. But we know Ginnivan's got forward craft and uses it very well and earns a free kick, and I think he kicks the goal after this. This is a really mature play by Jai Newcombe here. We can see that Collingwood are pressing on the ground ball and feeding our small forwards who love to press a loose ball. But what Newcombe does, he kills it straight away, goes backwards, resets to the quarterback, and now our forwards, who pretty much thrive on those situations, are pretty much quelled of that opportunity because Newcombe realised that there were players pressing, and he said, all right, let's just reset, give it back to Sicily, and we'll go from there. A massive moment here in the game, halfway through the fourth quarter, regarding Myercheck, makes the contest here, brings the ball to deck. Okay, he's done a great job there. Josh Dacos receives it. Who's going to be our next player who makes a contest because Myercheck's on the ground, right? Hold on a minute. Myercheck's busting his ass and is already at the next kick. And he's put himself in a position that a lot of AFL players or most AFL players wouldn't do. And they wouldn't put themselves here because usually you get absolutely clattered in this situation. He puts himself in the sandwich and brings the ball out for a boundary throw in, creates a stoppage in Collingwood's forward half. So something that won't be spoken about outside of the Collingwood helm. A bit of appreciation for Brodie Myercheck there to have 2 efforts at the end of the game and do something like that and create a breather for Collingwood who were absorbing an exorbitant amount of forward half pressure being applied by Hawthorn in this second half. All right, in this moment, we're going to see Frampton does just a little thing for Darcy Moore here too. We're going to see here Billy Frampton does something really smart to allow Darcy Moore to do what he does best, and that's take intercept marks. Puts on body work on a jumping jack in Chol, who would have definitely put his knee into Darcy Moore's back and would have had an opportunity to take a mark himself. Instead, Frampton's doing just enough, and Darcy Moore takes a nearly uncontested mark thanks to Frampton's work behind the play. Here, I'm just wondering, we're going long. Can we get Jeremy Howe to push back here and ask for a short pass and maybe switch the ball? I understand that's going to bring more pressure into our forward half, but I think this long kick down the line in the second half did not work, and I think this is an instant turnover. We were definitely far too risk averse in that second half, and we lost our dare, and it would have been nice to see us maybe just switch the ball and then open up the ground and maybe see if there's something in through the middle. But when you're playing on the right side of the ground for a whole quarter, Hawthorn are going to set up really well and did so. And when Sicily's their general at the back, pointing fingers, it's going to be hard to break down a team when you're just kicking long down the line every single time. It's just too predictable. Some love for Billy Frampton. Some nice body work here to get in front of the ruckman and spoils it out for a boundary throw-in. So just a bit of love for Billy. He's been unbelievable since he's come in, and he had another good game yesterday. Here we've got a loose ball. Hawthorn end up winning the ground ball. Of course, Sicily's clean below his knees. And then I think we got Darcy Moore, who just comes from no man's land. So Frampton's here. Darcy Moore is still a million miles away. And at this point, you've misjudged it. He still decides to come. If you're going to come all the way out and leave your man at the back, you need to clean up Chol and make sure this doesn't get over the back. And that doesn't happen. It's a weak tackle. Chol does really well to knock it forward, as does Blake Hardwick. And all of a sudden, Hawthorn are down by just 5 points. Late in the game, once again, Collingwood realised that Amon is no longer going long down the line, and Darcy Cameron acknowledges that, and he's wondering, okay, well, guess where the ball's going next? I've got to work over to the next contest. Look how far away he is from here to here, where the ball ends up. And look who takes the mark. Strong contested mark, puts his body on the line and reads it early. So really good work late in the game. These are the key moments that win you games. Minute 32 now, Walpole hoofs it out of his defensive 50. Still side bottom, going back with the flight. Not worried about what's behind him or coming from beside him. But never mind. Hoskin Elliott does the little things, the 1%ers, puts a little block, not enough for the umpire to make a call, and protects still side bottom in game 3-1-3. Good little block there. Lastly, here we go. Hearts in our mouth right now. Ginnivan goes long. Darcy Moore comes from out of nowhere here and gets great purchase on this spoil. And then Collingwood end up winning the game after that, after one more repeat stoppage. As usual, another nail-biter for Collingwood and the Collingwood Army. Our tackling pressure was good. I think we had 73 tackles for the game. We were -7 in the contest, as I mentioned at the start. We were too risk averse in the second half. We needed to have more dare. We need to have that consistency across the 4 quarters. I keep saying this, but I just don't know how many more close games my heart can handle. But I'm here for it, and as long as we get the win at the end of the day, I'll be happy for another week. If you plan on watching future videos of mine, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you. Bye.